The news continues here on One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. Senior citizens and PWDs who failed to vote in the past 2 consecutive elections may now reactivate their data online. COMELEC says it has recently authorized online reactivation, meaning members of these vulnerable sectors may opt to send their registration forms through email. COMELEC spokesperson James Jimenez adds that the service would be eventually available to all voters whose data were recently deactivated. Recall that the original method for reactivation of voter data involves personally bringing application forms to the local COMELEC office. The program is part of COMELEC's efforts to make the 2022 elections inclusive despite the threat of the coronavirus pandemic. The Bureau of Quarantine says online registration is required to book an appointment for the issuance of yellow card vaccine cards. BOQ Medical Officer Dr. Bert Feliciano told One News that applicants must first register online through boq.pisopay.com.ph and select their preferred office. After that, they will be asked to upload a photo of their valid ID, much preferably their passport, as well as their vaccination cards. Applicants can pay online or through convenience stores like 7-Eleven, then wait for the confirmation. Feliciano also notes that they are experiencing an influx of people trying to book a slot every day.
We hope that we can still be able to cope up with the number of people. But currently, we're starting to take steps and try to accommodate as much as we can. That's why we are going to open up our satellite offices in the coming months.
Feliciano acknowledged the challenges in distribution of the vaccine certificates, but assured the public that minimum health standards will be followed in the distribution.
We are still enforcing the minimum health standards in order for us to be able to accommodate them and safely and health-wise. We employ almost daily cleaning and disinfecting in our areas.
Several areas in Muntinlupa are now under extreme localized lockdown after the city records a flurry of new coronavirus cases. JC Cosico with the details.
Muntinlupa swabbing personnel visited this compound in Barangay Sukat. Mass testing is being conducted in Purok 3 Molera compound after 5 individuals tested positive for COVID-19. The area is now placed under 14-day extreme localized community quarantine until 6 p.m. of August 27. Police and barangay officials are securing the area where about 7 families or at least 20 individuals are forced to stay at home.
Ang pinapayagan lamang pong maaring lumabas ay ang mga apor o yung mga frontliner, pero hindi na po sila papayagang bumalik po sa compound.
Barangay Sukat has at least 100 active COVID-19 cases. Officials said infections continue to rise.
Sa panahon po ngayon, mas marami po ang nadadagdagan na report na marami pong positive.
Over in Barangay Alabang, checkpoints were set up at the entry point of Purok 7 Beatriz Compound de Mesa, LNB Street, as it is also placed under lockdown. There are 10 active cases in the area where about 44 families are affected.
Magkakaibang bahay naman po yung nag-positive, kaya lang ang transmission ay per family. Siyempre po bago sila na-detect, nakalabas na po yung iba. Kaya medyo siguro po ang span ng transmission ay nagkaroon ng medyo napabilis.
Some residents living near the lockdown site are worried for their family's safety.
Bakit po?
Smart na. Smart na.
Ang mga magulang lang po muna namin na lumalabas para sa amin at yung mga bata din na lang din po muna lumalabas.
The barangay has made it clear that no one from the area is allowed to go out in the meantime. To date, there are 5 communities under lockdown in Muntinlupa since Metro Manila was placed under enhanced community quarantine. The Muntinlupa City Health Office said more areas may follow suit depending on incidence rate and clustering of COVID-19 cases.
We are not limiting areas for lockdown, especially kung talagang ang taas ng cases nila, the clustering, and yung vulnerables are exposed. We will have to execute or implement talaga mga lockdowns.
COVID-19 cases in Muntinlupa City is now over 16,000. About 7.8% are active cases. The LGU is not dismissing the possibility that the variant may be one of the reasons behind the increasing COVID-19 infections in the city. They note as well the location of the city as another possible reason for the surge in cases.
Muntinlupa is the gateway to all these LGU. So talagang pwede kami madaanan. So in the process, yung iba namin natetest dito might be Delta variants.
With this, the LGU reiterates its call to residents to follow minimum health standards as Metro Manila remains under ECQ. For News 5, JC Cosico, we are One News.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Riza Diaz. An accidental headbutt ends the fight between boxers Gary Antonio Russell and Emmanuel Rodriguez for the vacant WBA interim bantamweight title. Just 16 seconds into the fight, an accidental headbutt stopped the bout between the American and Puerto Rican boxers. The top of Russell's head gashed the middle of Rodriguez's nose, and Rodriguez immediately went down as blood trickled down his nose. The referee called off the fight after a few seconds, and it was ruled a no decision because of the accidental foul. 1996 Olympic silver medalist Onyok Velasco gets his own business venture 25 years after winning in the Summer Games. Chooks to Go gifted Velasco his very own branch of the store near his residence in Litex Road. Chooks to Go president Ronald Mascareñas said he wanted to give Velasco the much-deserved reward after learning that the Filipino boxer never got the full incentives promised to him. Mascareñas also gifted Velasco 100,000 pesos, which he said that the silver medalist can use for his long-delayed honeymoon with his wife in Boracay. Velasco said that he was surprised at the sudden shower of blessings 2 decades after the rewards promised to him never came. More and more Americans are showing willingness to take pay cuts if it means they can continue working from home. So how do companies feel about this possible move? Let's watch this.
A new nationwide poll shows many Americans are willing to take pay cuts, give up days off, or even put in more hours to be able to continue working remotely. An online survey conducted by Breeze Insurance found 65% of workers who said their jobs can be done entirely at home were willing to take a pay cut to stick with remote work. We've got Bloomberg personal finance editor Lisa Fleischer here with us to discuss the findings. Lisa, welcome to Quick Take. Tell me, what was the most surprising thing that you found from this data?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. The most surprising thing I found was that 65% of people were willing to take a 5% pay cut to continue to work remotely if their job affords them that luxury. But then once they started to get into the higher realms, 10%, 25%, whatnot, people quickly were like, that's not worth it to me. I think if you start to do the mental math and just think about how much money people have been saving on their commute, that might actually make sense. Like if you do the trade-off for how much you're saving on gas or tolls or parking or your subway pass and all these different things add up, sometimes to thousands of dollars a year or hundreds of dollars a month or more, it might make sense for you to say, look, I'll just give that up for a 5% pay cut. Of course, the survey did not ask how much more should you get paid to work from home. So we didn't hear that.
I do want to get the CEO perspective here because I'm so curious what the CEOs who are really pushing for people to come back into the office would be willing to do to get people to come back in. Have you gotten any responses from executives and leaders about where they're at with the work from home debate?
So I have personally spoken with a couple of CEOs who really want people back in the office, and they're willing to lose some workers who are not willing to come back. And I think they're predicting that that's just going to be a trade-off, that they're willing to, lose some talent if necessary to get people back in the office to where they feel that they need to be. I don't know. I mean, I think that it's going to be very dependent on the company. What we see in banking, for example, is Citibank, I believe, has a bit more of a relaxed policy about working from home, and in fact uses it as a competitive advantage to retain talent, whereas some of the other big banks, Goldman, whatnot, want their workers back in the office. But look, we're seeing pullback on this. So we had seen a lot of companies aiming for a September return to work. I feel like it was last winter or something. A lot of companies were like, don't worry about it. We're not going back into the office until September.
And now with Delta,
Right. And I was even thinking over the summer, like a lot of people probably could get back in the office. People were saying, I'm a little bit bored of being from home. But now with Delta, companies are really rethinking that. And you see just recently, Amazon, Apple, a lot of very big companies are saying, we're going to pull this back.
And this just in, WBO bantamweight champion John Riel Casimero successfully defends his title for the second time in a split decision against Guillermo Rigondo. And those are the top stories of the hour. Join us later at 1 p.m. as we give you more details on that fight and we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. You can also catch One News on Signal Play app. Register for a free account now, www.signalplay.com, and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. I'm Riza Diaz. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. We are One News.